Okay, so this is going to be a follow-up to my other video, but let's actually get this out for this one. Oop. Be little. You'd be little. Okay, we could go big, but that's not what I'm looking for. So, remember how I'm talking about logs, guys? They are that version of it, but there's a few different other ones. And this game in hand is a great way to describe that. Yeah, here we go. We wanted log 0, log this. This is going to be your first orientation touching this thing, because it's essentially what you done, didn't you? You didn't? Okay.
It is a risk. What we've done now is weaponize the dollar in an unprecedented way.
Now, to a certain degree of reality, no, that's not what I did. Firstly, you got to figure out when it is, and these are very random bandwidths of when the end of the game is. When I first played that, the very first time I played it, I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew is that doing certain things helped out my numbers quite considerably, and I mashed it. I didn't just mash it. I put 20,000 on both the X and D derivative. I'd beaten it so long ago that I didn't realize it, and then I realized it. And then I finally, on the second one, I saw it every single time. It was a speed race to make sure I hit it. The third time, I was looking for what bandwidth pattern it started to end at, so I could actually gauge out when it was going to drop. Now, at first, I didn't know really what it was. It was through combinations of smashing all the keys, all of them to a uniform temperature and size, regardless, and just chopping that down. Right, and you go through that pattern, and it's right because it's good, and it's actually not a bad finished timeline. We're super rock. Well, actually, if you're doing it just right, there's a few different middle margins where it's not, as long as you're in the bandwidth of the box, and it's on a 45. These are drops. Now, at what weight and plate is that? I don't know for $250 or a $15 stock. That's another step later on in this logarithm that, actually there is one in that it follows. You get into what I get into the stone mill, right? Why do I tell you it's a 45 in the stone mill? Because I'll drop operations. I'm coming over from handling an operation to organizing an operation, right? And in that, you're going to lose a lot of paint. You're going to lose a lot of what was inflation in there because they were not factored as time. But what are you doing? Now it's a very specific pattern. I'm hitting very specific organizations. I'm turning those over. They work to mathematical systems if you're staying with them, but they work to a phase of those mathematical systems. Now, if you start to get out, you're going to need to operate. Now, if you know the math, you'll know which S, V, W to hit. Even if you don't have extra variables, it would still say volatility to the system, and it would X to a timeline to what under the standard is to make that a 45-degree line on that sheet from corner to corner. Requires you to do it very carefully with increments of the right weights and plates with the right number combinations. Now, you have to figure out how to apply what business is in there. Me, I'm going to tell you how to do it here, because at the end of it, it's the first logarithm you have to add before you add numbers. Get into a 5th grade calculus class. You kidding me? They don't. Other than students in there that get A's on, have to get an A.
Now, last week the G20 couldn't even meet because Russia was at the meeting.
They got to get an A on these, and we could track that in calculus maybe, but other than which version of it is useful, exponent's logarithm, it's one of the buttons you could push. It gives you dt, and in some cases it might even be x or y. And given that nucleus, there's a lot of that type of mechanics that's going on into what I'm trying to describe in this function that says I'm not going to put up a lot of bullshit, okay? Catch you next one.